When Embracer bought Square Enix's Western studios and IP, many people questioned whether it'd even allow creative freedom to its newly acquired teams. However, it seems like fans of these studios have nothing to worry about, as the Swedish group has laid out its plans for the future. So, without further ado, let's dive in and see what these devs have in store for us. First, Embracer's purchase caught everyone by surprise. When Embracer Group decided to buy a bunch of studios and IP from Square Enix, most people were shocked. You see, it's not very common for someone to only acquire a few studios from a publisher. Usually, you kinda have to get the whole thing, which is why seeing Square part ways with most of its Western portfolio seemed kinda bizarre. However, their reasoning was pretty sound, to be fair. As it happens, the Western division of the Japanese publisher was actually not very profitable, despite releasing some decent games lately. Yes, games like Guardians of the Galaxy got great reviews from the press, but for some reason, they just couldn't convert those numbers into sales. Now, many people think that it all came down to Square's bad marketing, but hindsight is 2020, and we can't know for sure. All we know is that the massive Swedish company Embracer Group now owns studios like Eidos Montreal, Crystal Dynamics, and Square Enix Montreal. What are they gonna do with these studios, though? Well, if their history's anything to go by, then we'd say that these teams are gonna get way more creative freedom under their new owners as compared to Square. Honestly, that was also one of the biggest pitfalls of the Japanese publisher, as these devs were forced to work on projects that they weren't passionate about. It was always pretty obvious that Crystal Dynamics wasn't equipped to run a live service game, but they were still forced to do it, and we all know how that went down. Next, Embracer plans to revive old IPs. With a new lease of life under Embracer, these studios are now primed to explore the vast library of IPs at their disposal. We've got franchises like Legacy of Kain, Thief, Deus Ex, and Tomb Raider, all ripe for a revival. Oh, and don't even get us started on all the other properties that Embracer owns like Saints Row and the Metro series. So, in theory, they could put these studios on development for any of these franchises. We don't have to guess though, as the company has already said that it plans on reviving old Square IPs and giving them to its new studios. Not only that, but the Swedish groups also promised to invest in all of these franchises to bring them back to their glory days. Now, this should be music to all fans' ears, as these dormant IPs have been sitting there doing nothing for years at this point. Besides, even when Square was churning these out, they didn't really get the funding or the dev time that they needed, resulting in some pretty mediocre experiences. So, what game will each studio work on under Embracer? When it comes to these newly acquired studios, they've all been pretty busy over the past few years. For instance, Crystal Dynamics is just winding down on its Avengers development and is also simultaneously helping Xbox's The Initiative with Perfect Dark. Insanely enough though, that's not the only project that they're working on. Yep, they're currently juggling between 3 AAA projects, as development on the new Tomb Raider game also started in April. This is obviously a massive undertaking for anyone, let alone a studio that's relatively medium-sized. So it's safe to assume that they're probably not gonna touch anything else for a while. Eidos Montreal, on the other hand, is just coming off the heels of Guardians of the Galaxy, and if you've played that game, you'd know that it was one of the best written games of last year with pretty decent gameplay too. With that said, they're now kind of free to do whatever they want. Plus, even though their last effort with the Deus Ex franchise wasn't the best, it's been long enough for them to do a hard reset and try out a new formula. That leaves us with Square Enix Montreal, which is a much smaller team than the other two. Also, they're not very well equipped to develop a AAA game on console, since most of their previous projects have been mobile focused, like Hitman Sniper and Lara Croft Go. Having said that, the Thief franchise has been dormant long enough that people don't even remember what it felt like to play those games. It's also one of the smaller franchises that Embracer has acquired. So if they had to hand one old IP out to Square Montreal, the Thief franchise would actually be a pretty safe bet. And now, why did Square Enix sell these studios to Embracer? Yeah, we know that it's been acquisition season for a while, with everyone scrambling to rack up studios to dominate the current generation. But Square selling a part of its business to Embracer was still pretty surprising, especially after the reports that Sony was looking to buy the Japanese publisher. However, this doesn't necessarily negate these reports. In fact, if anything, this sale has kinda added fuel to those rumors. Why? Well, the thing is that Square Enix has been looking to offload these studios for a while, as they've not been profitable enough. Their Eastern studios, on the other hand, are literal cash cows, with massively successful games like Final Fantasy XIV. So apparently this sale was just Square's way of streamlining its business business and trimming the fat. Remarkably, this has also made the Japanese publisher way more lucrative for potential buyers. And now they're all just waiting for Sony to swoop in and take them away. Next, in other news, Fall Guys is finally going free-to-play. Fall Guys took the world by storm when it launched as a part of PlayStation Plus last year. This bizarre Takeshi Castle-style battle royale offered the perfect balance between chaotic and measured gameplay. However, the hype for it died down pretty quickly, as the small dev team took a very long time to push out any meaningful new content to the game. After Epic's acquisition of Mediatonic, though, things have been very different. Not only is the game receiving updates consistently, but some of the collabs with other famous IPs have also been super fun. Of course, this is Epic's Fortnite magic at work, since they're the masters of live service games. Their influence is reaching far beyond just content, though, as Mediatonic has announced that Fall Guys is going free to play. That's not all, however, as the game is also coming to other platforms, including Xbox and Nintendo Switch. On top of that, a new PlayStation 5 upgrade for the game is also in the works, which will drop alongside these other platforms. Oh, and Game Pass members will get some sweet skins for free. For those of you who've already bought the game, though, the developer has announced a legacy pack of perks with outfits, a title, a nameplate, and free access to the premium Battle Pass. Now, Xbox and Nintendo fans have been clamoring for the game to make its way to their platforms for a very long time, so this news will definitely please them. Plus, the fact that it's free to play and cross-platform like other Epic properties, including Rocket League and Fortnite, is a testament to how successful this model has been for the publisher. You won't have to wait much longer for it either, as the free-to-play Fall Guys drops on all platforms on June 21st. Sony reveals its PS Plus premium library. Sony's answer to Xbox Game Pass has been pretty underwhelming thus far. In essence, it just looked like they'd merged PS Plus with PS Now. However, the company has just announced its full lineup for the service, and thankfully, there's much more value in it than we'd previously thought. For starters, we're getting a wide variety of exclusive PS4 and PS5 games, including relatively new entries like Spider-Man Miles Morales. On top of that, the backward-compatible library also seems to be buffed up with extra additions like Ape Escape. The real deal, however, is the third-party lineup that not only includes games like Red Dead Redemption 2, but the entirety of the Ubisoft Plus Classics lineup. Now, this last edition will definitely give Sony some bragging rights over Xbox. With that said, their lineup is still not as expansive as Game Pass. Konami has greenlit multiple Silent Hill projects. It's been a while since we've had a Silent Hill game, and fans have been begging Konami to revive the franchise for years. However, the series has been on a rocky road, as the publisher scrapped Kojima's Silent Hill game after their famous divorce. But a new report has suggested that the horror franchise has been put back on track, with multiple teams working on their own versions of the game. Bloober Team, for instance, has been given the job of fully remastering Silent Hill 2 for the PlayStation 5. Now, of course, they're no strangers to the horror genre, having just released The Medium last year. With that said, many fans are still not convinced that Bloober is the appropriate team to carry the franchise forward. That's not all, though, as according to the same report, other side stories and a full new mainline entry are also in the works at multiple different studios. It's worth noting, though, that the report doesn't mention any of these studios by name, so it could all end up being nothing but speculation. What do you think? Do you want to see the Bloober Team make a Silent Hill game? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.